I have a business idea that I'm looking for investors for. Hoping I can convince someone. I'd like to market Judaica with a specific sports theme. One product I have in mind is a Stanley Cup Kiddush Cup. Finish, you raise it over your head. That's one idea that I have. The other idea, which I'd like to pitch to you, is a Larry Bird Menorah. A Larry Bird Menorah. Now we could debate what it looks like. Is it green? Celtics? Are there 4-leaf clovers on it? We could debate the colors. We can work that out. But I'd like to explain to you why I think it's such a good idea. Hopefully we'll have some investors by the end. I just have to admit that often when I give the Shmuze, I have some basketball reference, and Rav Kalinsky is a hara every time. Larry Bird, Larry Bird, Larry Bird. So of course, what do? I listen to the Rosh Yeshiva, and I just go watch Larry Bird for the whole afternoon and don't do anything else. So I have something to talk about at least. We're holding post Shavuos, and I kind of think of this. We've heard ideas of Shavuos being like the marriage between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And I get the sense sometimes in speaking to couples who are engaged that they kind of miss the boat. So much time is spent agonizing details. Do you think anyone will call us out on matching eggshell white with chalk white and ivory? Do you think anyone's going to know the difference between those things in the color scheme? Do you think which sushi matches better with the carving station? These are the types of things which we're agonizing over, and we kind of forget that we want to get married. I think in Shavuos, similar things. We prepare for Shavuos. There's the cheesecakes. There's the sleep schedule. And now that we're post Shavuos, we're in the afterglow of Shavuos. It's kind of like, now what? What remnants do we have from Shavuos? So maybe we have some extra pounds from the cheesecakes are still remaining with us. Maybe that'll carry us through to next Shavuos even. Maybe some of us are not adjusted to the sleep schedule yet. But other than that, what's different? What changed? We had this momentous occasion called Shavuos. We relived Har Sinai, and now what? It's pretty easy to get inspired. We all have been inspired, are inspired by different things, by sunset, by kumzitz, by a good story, inspiring speech, something. The challenge is not to get inspired. The challenge is what happens the next week. And I think that a little bit that's what's being discussed in the beginning of our parsha. The Rishonim are bothered. What's the juxtaposition between Parshas Baloscha and Parshas Nasa? So Rashi is his approach. But I'd like to share with you the approach of the Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra says that the end of last week's parsha, not thematically the whole thing, mamish, the end of last week's parsha was the revelation of Kadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. So what does that have to do with the Menorah? So says the Ibn Ezra, we know that Hashem's revelation really occurs during daytime. However, says the Ibn Ezra, when you light the Menorah, you can artificially create daytime. You have created the light such that Hashem can reveal Himself. Not everywhere in the Mikdash, but that can occur even in nighttime. Mesh Chachma even learns halach l'maisa from this, or potential halach l'maisa. But I think, broadly speaking, what the Ibn Ezra is telling us is the symbolic nature of the Menorah, of our involvement, of human involvement, what we can do. We have the ability to create the circumstances for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come in. In the Mizbeach, in the Mikdash, there's two fires. One the Menorah, and one the Mizbeach. And they're very different. If you put together the Psukim, different places in Tanakh, and the Gemara, what you'll discover, I think, is that the fire of the Mizbeach is a heavenly fire. It comes down from Shamayim and stays there. The Mizbeach, in a certain sense, represents that lightning bolt of inspiration. It comes out of nowhere. What did I do? It showed up. We can't control it. We can't really do anything with it. The Menorah, on the other hand, is a fire which we must prepare for, we must put effort into, and then the light of the menorah shines forth. we do something with it. I once heard a great line that Hashem controls the sparks, we control the wood. I thought that was a sharp line. Rav Schwab, the Rav of the Broids community in Washington Heights, has a beautiful piece based on a Gemara in Maseches Chagiga. The Gemara there darshans a pasuk in Shir Shirim, Mayafa Pamayich Benalim Bas Nadiv. How beautiful are you, Klal Yisrael, when your feet are in your shoes. So the Gemara says, what's that talking about? Alil Regel, when we come up to the base of the Migdash, Pesach Shavuot Sukkot, beautiful. It says Rav Schwab a basic question. It's usher to wear shoes in the base of Migdash. What are you talking about? How beautiful it is that you're wearing shoes in the base of Migdash? Oh, it's usher. So Rav Schwab explains, no. What the Gemara is talking about is that, you know what the beauty is? When you go to the base of Migdash, and then you walk home. You walk home, you're wearing your shoes, you take the inspiration of the base of Migdash with you, and you bring it back home. That's what Tosas describes in Bava Basra, that the beauty of Yerushalayim was everyone would come to Yerushalayim, get inspired, and then go home. Similarly, I heard that in Yeshivas Chachmei Lublin, Rav Meir Shapell, the founding Rosh Yeshiva, the founder of Daf Yomi, the opening pasuk that was written when you entered the base medrash was pasuk L'chu vanim shimuli, go and listen. So Midim asked Rav Meir Shapell, what are you doing? That should be on the exit. As you walk out, L'chu vanim, don't forget, listen. What do you mean when you walk in L'chu vanim shimuli? So Rav Meir Shapell answered, no. When you go into the base medrash, you have to have in mind already, what am I going to do that this is going to be an experience that I will be able to take it with me? And the problem, though, is that sometimes, I don't have a better way to describe it, than people kind of treat the whole Ruchnius enterprise like, appetizers at a wedding. There's like little stations or whatever, and it's really good, it's really delicious, so you take one, you take two, and then 5 minutes later you're back for more, because it didn't really do anything for you. And then you take a few more, and eventually you like it so much you find the place where they're coming from, and you stand right there so that you can be the first one to get the new tray. But it doesn't fill you up. It just carries you to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And what Rav Meir Shapell is telling us, what Rav Schwab is telling us, and I think a little bit what the Ibn Ezra is driving at, is we have to think about, okay, now that we had the experience, what do we do with it? And I think that's what the Menorah is. In contrast to the Mizbeach, fire comes down from Shemaim, it's always there. The Menorah, is a daily mitzvah. You have a daily mitzvah to light. Every single day, day in, day out. No fireworks, but a flame. And this is difficult for us because we're always looking for the quick fix. No, we're looking for one more Shabbos to really get me to this place. One more day, then I'll start the diet. It's always one. And Hashem wants just one more mincha. Just one more bracha. One more minute of not speaking Lashon Hara. But we don't view it like that. We're looking for that big thing. No, can I keep it going a little bit, day by day? I think that's what Rashi is describing in the beginning of our parsha based on Chazal. That what Baaloscha means, says Rashi, the mitzvah of lighting the menorah is shetzorich lahadlik, you have to light it ad shetei shel heves olam me'eleh, that the flame goes up by itself, it's independent. We have to do those mundane acts until they become part of us. That's who we are. It's natural. And this is where we come to Larry Bird. Larry Bird was not. Larry Bird made some unbelievable shots. Let's not kid ourselves. But Larry Bird's nickname, or one of his nicknames, was the Hick from French Lick. French Lick is the little town in Indiana where he's from. He was called the Hick from French Lick. Because if you looked at Larry Bird, I don't know how to describe it. You kind of would think that he just was a fan that somehow made it onto the court wearing a Celtics jersey and probably spent more time, I don't know, drinking beer in his pickup truck in a hardware store or something. That's like what he looks like. And then you realize that he dominated the entire game and the entire league. There are other players who you look at them and say, oh, that makes sense. I can imagine that they dominate. Larry Bird the Hick from French Lick. Larry Bird became what they also called Larry Legend because of his legendary practice. I think they say during the off season, what we call Bein Hazmanim. So During Bein Hazmanim, Larry Bird took 100 free throw shots and wouldn't leave till he made 100 in a row. You know how crazy that is? 100 in a row. He makes 99 and he misses it, he's starting again. There are different versions, different misaras about what the nusach was. They asked him, why do you practice so much? Doesn't it get boring? And sometimes he said, I don't want to have to think during the game, so I'll do all the thinking now. Sometimes he said, whatever. There are different nusachs. But that's the greatness. The greatness is born out of the boring things that you do. But you have to put in the effort, and then you're able to reap the rewards. Those momentary flashes, those highlight reels that you have of Larry Bird are only built on all the practice that you put in. And there are countless highlights of Larry Bird, not only doing the unbelievable shots, but just diving. He was legendary. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this. Larry Bird dove all over the place. Dove in the second row, the third row, the fourth row. He just dove. He's willing to put in the effort. Lahavdil, I remember hearing at the height of Corona, when there were all the shilas about ventilators and who gets and who doesn't get in priorities, they came to ask Rav Schechter. Some of the doctors in the New York area asked Rav Schechter, how do we deal with this? So Rav Schechter sat for a very short amount of time. He told them, you do this, do this. He gave them the priorities, fine. And they were astounded. They said to Rav Schechter, how are you able to do that? You're weighing life and death shilas, complex things. And Rav Schechter looked at them nonchalantly and he said, we've been preparing our whole life for this. I don't understand. This is all the practice, all the 80 years of whatever, is just to come to this point. That's Avodas Hashem. And that's why I think the French Look Menorah would be such a bestseller. Because Larry Bird was not a Mizbeach type of player. A Mizbeach type of player is the guy that jumps over someone else. And that's unbelievable that Baruch Hu could create such a being like that. Larry Bird doesn't have highlights like that. Larry Bird beat you because he worked harder than you, because he practiced more than you, because he was more patient than you. That was it. What also frustrated people is that he would tell you exactly what he was going to do, and then do it. I'm going to shoot from right there and score. And he would do it every single time. But that's the French look type of menorah. And I think, by the way, that my image of the French look menorah is totally plain. There's no green. There's no four-leaf clovers, because that's flashy. Larry Bird was not flashy. Just plain, pashut, but you get it done. You put the work in, and then you reap the benefits. I'd like to highlight maybe 3 areas for us where this might be applicable, as areas to think about. One is in the realm of Shabbos. So for many of us, our entry point into how we got here to where we are today was Shabbos. We had a great Shabbos experience. It was inspiring. It was amazing. Wonderful. But now what? Do we have a deeper understanding of Shabbos? They told me that Shabbos is great because I detach from my phone for 25 hours. Okay, so why don't I do that on a Tuesday? Oh no, because there's Cholent as well. Okay, so on Thursday I'll go for Cholent and I won't go on my phone. So that's called Shabbos. Anything different? I can't speak for any other Rabbeim, but personal experience and with my kids, we often have Shabbos cereal. You get the kids something a little bit extra, Shabbos cereal, Shabbos breakfast. Great. So what's the point of that? Meet the kids where they are, get them excited about Shabbos. Now, am I hoping that my kids, when they're 25, are, what is Shabbos about? Oh, I can't wait for the Cocoa Puffs. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. If Purim for us this year was no different than what we might have thought it was last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, it's like some cross between Halloween and a frat party, we miss the point. We grow, we evolve. So has our perspective or relationship with Shabbos changed since we were inspired about Shabbos? We got inspired. Now what? A second area for us to think about is in terms of our environment, our surroundings. The Rambam paskins a halacha in Hilchos Deos, call it that, of peer pressure. Paskin. So if we're talking about being on fire, being inspired, so am I putting myself in an environment which cools me down or fans the flames? And if we say I have to be in an environment which is not the most conducive, okay, do I minimize that? Do I look for ways that I could light the fire more, I could ignite the fire more? because I got inspired. So now what? What do I do with that now that I've been inspired? Area number 3 that I'd like to just put on our radar. All these things require more thought, require an individualized plan, but we're just putting them on the radar for us to think about. Area number 3 is in the realm of Emunah. I'm going to go out on a limb that by definition, for us in this room, being here, there has to be some level of belief. Otherwise, why would we be here in this room specifically? I'm going out on a limb. Great, so we check the box. I have Emunah. Emunah in what? Emunah in Hashem? Emunah is Chachamim? Well, I don't understand. What is Emunah even? Do I come back to it? Do I strengthen my Emunah? Do I build my Emunah? Or I did it, it's in the rearview mirror, that's it. There's a fascinating Maritz Chiyas in the back of the Gemara Masech Shabbos. Gemara says that when we go up to Shemaim, they're going to ask us a number of questions. First question is Nasata be'emunah. So I think the common explanation of that is: were you honest in your business dealings? Maybe did you have emunah? Did you have faith in Hashem in your business dealings? Maritz Chiyas is a totally different pshat. Masa Matan is a give and take. So he says, did you have a give and take about emunah? That's the question that they're going to ask you. Did you work on the emunah? I think that's critical for us, because emunah is what drives this whole enterprise. So great, shkoyach, you had emunah once. Now what? Are we working on it? Have we grown? Have we developed? I think those are 3 areas that we can think about this: Shabbos, our environment, and emunah. I think that's really the symbolism of the French-look menorah, because the rest of the world is really interested in fireworks, and we're more interested in flames, in candles. Fireworks are impressive for like 10 seconds. Candles, they light up an entire room, they light up our lives. That's really what we're looking for. Okay.